Every single day, millions of Americans are driving their brand new cars straight back to the dealership. Not for an oil change, not for a checkup, to return them. We're talking about cars with under 10,000 miles, some with under 3,000. Engines failing, transmissions locking up, warranties getting denied. And manufacturers lobbying the government to make sure you can never fix it yourself. This is the video the car industry does not want you to watch. Stay right there. The return epidemic, what's actually happening. Let's set the scene. You save up. You do your research, you walk into a dealership, sign the papers, and drive off in a shiny, brand new vehicle. You're excited, you're proud. And then within weeks, sometimes days, something goes wrong. The engine light comes on, the transmission stutters, the software glitches, and you realize you just made a very expensive mistake. This isn't a one-off story. This is happening across America at a scale we've never seen before. Owners of GMC Yukons, Chevy Silverados, Cadillac Escalades, Ford trucks, BMWs, Teslas, and Cadillacs are all returning their vehicles. Some of these cars have barely left the driveway. So what's going on? Is this just bad luck? A few lemons slipping through the cracks? Not really. There's a pattern here, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. The GM disaster, 1 million trucks with a ticking time bomb. Let's start with the biggest story in the room. General Motors. If you own a GMC Yukon Denali, a Chevy Tahoe, a Silverado, or a Cadillac Escalade with the 6.2-liter V8 engine, listen carefully. Every truck from model year 2021 through 2026 is affected. We're talking about nearly 1 million trucks on American roads right now with a serious, documented problem. These trucks are randomly losing power completely while driving, on highways, on off-ramps, in traffic. One owner described it clearly. He was cruising, got off the highway, and the truck simply died. No warning, no engine power, nothing. It was towed to the dealer, he received a replacement truck, and the replacement began doing the exact same thing. GM's first fix was changing the oil to a thicker grade. That was the solution offered for a 6-figure truck randomly shutting down at highway speeds. When that didn't work, they began replacing engines entirely. But the replacement engines have been failing too. On top of that, GM has a separate recall on the push-button transmission found in these newer trucks, where the rear wheels can lock up while driving. Their fix was a monitoring system that gives a 5,000-mile warning before the transmission fails. Not a repair, essentially a countdown to failure. GM is now under federal investigation. Class action lawsuits are being filed, and owners are stuck because even dealers don't have the parts to fix it. Some are waiting months. This is not a minor recall. This is a full-blown crisis. Ford's dirty secret, built to break. Now let's talk about Ford, because GM isn't alone in this, not even close. Ford's 10-speed automatic transmission, the one used in millions of F-150s and other trucks, has a plastic transmission pan on what is otherwise a precision-engineered gearbox. Plastic. Why would an engineer make that choice? They likely wouldn't. That's a decision driven by cost, not engineering. Here's the business model that Ford and GM have quietly shifted toward. The mechanics across the country are calling it out. These companies don't make much money selling you the truck. The real money is in the repairs. Dealership service departments are major profit centers. So the incentive becomes building a vehicle that runs just long enough to clear the warranty period and then starts breaking down right on schedule. And now Ford and GM are taking it further. Their executives have lobbied in Washington to restrict consumers' right to repair their own vehicles. Or pushing to lock diagnostic software so only their dealerships can access it. That would leave independent mechanics and owners working in their own garages locked out entirely, effectively requiring drivers to use dealership service at significantly higher rates. Mechanics are frustrated. As one shop owner put it, if manufacturers don't want independent shops working on their vehicles, that's a decision with consequences. But the real impact falls on everyday people just trying to fix their own property. The diesel trap, DEF systems, holding trucks hostage. Here's a chapter that doesn't get enough attention. The diesel truck DEF system problem. DEF stands for diesel exhaust fluid, a government-mandated emission system built into every modern diesel truck, regardless of brand. Ram, Chevy, GMC, Ford. When it malfunctions, the truck doesn't just show a warning light. It enters what's called limp mode. Speed gets capped, power gets cut, and in some cases, the truck won't start at all. Another owner had his truck trailered several hours to a specialist shop because the DEF system had crippled it. A 65-mile-per-hour speed cap kicked in with barely any distance left. Check engine and service warnings lit up on a truck with very few miles on it. There's also a case involving a Cummins-powered 5500, a 2024 model where the flex plate broke, was repaired, and broke again 2,000 miles later. It was fixed again, then the crankshaft cracked, a bolt sheared off, and the timing cover cracked, all within the first few thousand miles. The dealer denied warranty coverage on a brand new truck. That's not a lemon. That's grounds for a lawsuit. Even Toyota isn't safe. The Tundra's triple recall disaster. Just when you might think Toyota is the safe bet, think again. The 2022 through 2025 Tundra has been hit with 3 major recalls. Recall 1, metal shavings inside brand new engines. During manufacturing, machining debris was left inside the 3.4-liter twin-turbo V6. Those particles wore down the main bearings, causing knocking, stalling, and complete power loss while driving. Nearly 100,000 trucks were affected across 2022 and 2023, and Toyota later expanded the recall to cover another 44,000 trucks from 2024. Metal debris inside a brand new engine on a truck that can cost $60,000. Recall 2, a transmission that won't stay in neutral. A software defect can prevent the transmission from fully disengaging when shifted to neutral, meaning the truck can creep forward on its own with nobody behind the wheel. The Tundra, Sequoia, and Lexus LX600 all shared this flaw. Recall 3, reverse lights that don't work. Water intrusion has disabled the reverse lamps on over 400,000 Tundras from 2022 through 2025, meaning drivers backing up in a dark parking lot with no warning to anyone behind them. Toyota continues to issue recalls and address problems, which puts them ahead of many competitors in terms of transparency. But if even Toyota is shipping engines with metal debris inside them, it raises real questions about the rest of the industry. Tesla, BMW, and the luxury lie. Now let's move to the luxury segment, because the problems don't stop when the price tag goes up. If anything, they get worse. Tesla has been one of the most hyped vehicles of the last decade. People lined up, waited months, and paid premiums. Now, some owners are posting videos trying to sell their Teslas. One owner said she loved the car until she actually had to live with it day to day. No convenient place to set her phone, charging anxiety despite living close to work, and burning through range faster than expected. She went from loving the car to missing her old Camry within weeks, and made a sharp observation. She'd been convincing herself the car was great because she wanted it to be, having already spent the money. That's the trap. The sunk cost of a new car purchase can lead people to defend vehicles they're not actually happy with. Then there's BMW. One content creator compared a BMW with a turbocharged inline-6 to a Mazda with a similar turbocharged inline-6. Similar size, similar features. The BMW carried significant repair costs. The Mazda comparatively little. In another video, a BMW owner said he'd been to the mechanic 4 or 5 times since December, and his conclusion was simple. Consider something like a Honda Civic instead. There's a historical reason luxury vehicles have trended this way. It traces back to the 1990s, when Lexus entered the US market with the LS400 and significantly outperformed Mercedes-Benz on quality and price. Mercedes responded by shifting from engineering first design toward cost cutting, which led to well-documented rust issues in the W210 and electrical problems in the W220 S-Class, part of a broader race to the bottom that other luxury brands eventually followed. A 1980s Mercedes E-Class cost the equivalent of around $120,000 today. A current E-Class costs around $65,000. The pricing tells its own story: the right to repair war. This chapter may be the most important one in this entire video because it affects every car owner in America, regardless of what you drive. There's an ongoing battle over your right to repair your own vehicle, and manufacturers are largely winning it. Modern cars are loaded with proprietary software, and automakers are actively restricting access to it, meaning independent mechanics, small local shops, and even owners working in their own driveway often cannot diagnose or repair their own vehicle without manufacturer approval. Ford and GM executives have lobbied for legislation that would make this permanent, arguing that public access to this software poses safety risks. In practice, every repair done independently or by a non-dealer shop represents revenue the manufacturer doesn't collect. Consider this. Anti-steering laws exist specifically to protect a driver's right to choose where their car gets repaired after an accident, because forcing someone into a specific shop is broadly recognized as unfair. Restricting diagnostic data access raises a similar question. You own the car, you paid for it, but in many cases you can't fix it without the manufacturer's permission. As one mechanic put it, that raises real questions about what ownership actually means when you can't work on your own property. The financial trap, why buying new can be a costly decision. Let's talk money. Because beyond the mechanical failures and software restrictions, there's a financial reality hiding inside every new car purchase. The moment you drive a new car off the lot, it loses value immediately. Not a small amount, but often thousands of dollars before you even get home. If you financed it, you're now paying interest on a depreciating asset, and for a period of time, you owe more than the car is worth. One young owner described buying a brand new car as one of the worst financial decisions he'd made. Not because the car itself was bad, but because of the math. 2 years in, the car had already lost significant value while he was still making payments based on the original price plus interest. He said he wished he had saved and bought a reliable used vehicle with cash instead. There's also the leasing angle. One owner noted that leasing worked in his favor because when the vehicle became expensive and value dropped quickly, he could simply return it at lease end without negative equity or rolling debt into his next purchase. For many buyers today, a well-maintained used vehicle, something simpler with fewer complex electronic systems and one you can actually work on, can be a more financially sound choice and often has a longer, realistic lifespan than newer vehicles being built today. The planned obsolescence question. Here's the question a lot of people are quietly asking. Is any of this intentional? These are large companies with substantial engineering resources. They clearly have the capability to build vehicles that last 30, 40, even 50 years, because historically they have. A 1980s Toyota Land Cruiser is often still running today. A 1990s Honda Civic reaching 300,000 miles isn't unusual. Yet a 2022 GM truck with only 9,000 miles being on its second engine raises fair questions. Mechanics with decades of experience have pointed out a pattern. Components that seem engineered to wear out around specific mileage thresholds, timing chains that stretch near the 100,000 mile mark, turbochargers that fail just outside the warranty window, plastic components replacing what used to be a metal. Whether this reflects intentional design choices or simply cost pressure and shifting priorities is worth thinking critically about. But the effect on consumers is the same either way. Vehicles that push owners back to the dealership for repairs, parts, and eventually a new purchase once maintenance costs become unreasonable. 20 years ago, many expected the future of cars to bring better technology, better reliability, and better value. Instead, we've seen push-button transmissions with lockup issues, engines failing more than once before 10,000 miles, and software that can lock owners out of their own vehicles. What you should actually buy? The brands holding the line. So, with all of this in mind, what should you actually buy? The answer tends to come back to a familiar set of names: Toyota, Honda, and Mazda. These brands have generally avoided the same race toward unnecessary complexity and haven't pushed as hard against consumers' right to repair. A well-maintained 2007 Honda with hundreds of thousands of miles is still commonly seen on the road, while some newer luxury vehicles are visiting the shop repeatedly within their first year. That contrast is telling. Mazda, in particular, has been gaining attention, offering near-luxury quality, turbocharged engines, and premium interiors at a fraction of the price of German competitors. The CX-5, CX-50, and Mazda's sedan lineup are consistently ranked among the most reliable vehicles on the market. If you're set on a truck, it's worth considering older body styles. Before push-button transmissions became common, before DEF systems became mandatory, before the 6.2-liter V8 issues emerged, something simpler and more mechanical tends to be easier to maintain and repair long-term. As one veteran mechanic put it, he's gone back to building simpler vehicles with proven engines because at least he knows they'll run. Millions of Americans are returning their new cars, and now you know some of the key reasons why. Tell us in the comments, what brand do you drive and has it let you down? Your experience could help someone else avoid a costly mistake. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to GearNation for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.